Welcome to HB RV Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things. In today's episode, I have a lot to catch you up on. Good stuff today. I have a lot of questions that I want to pose to you, the audience, and get your reaction. So you can email me your reactions if you're watching or listening to this on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, iHeart, etc. On YouTube, you can simply send me a comment. So here's where I want to get started. I want to get started with some breaking news out of rvbusiness.com. This was very interesting. It was written today. Thor Industries announces second quarter fiscal 24 results. Thor Industries today announced financial results for its second fiscal quarter ended January 31st. The company anticipates stronger performance in the second half of fiscal 2024 while lowering fiscal 24 guidance to reflect its prudent focus on operational execution ahead of market recovery. Let me put that in layman's terms. We lost our absolute rear end. The market's down. Please don't sell off your stock because we have a plan, but we really don't. And I'll get into that in a minute. Fiscal second quarter 24 highlights. Consolidated net sales for the second quarter were $2.21 billion. Consolidated profit margin for the second quarter was 12.3%. Net income attributed to Thor and diluted earnings per share in the second quarter fiscal of 24 were $7.2 million and 13 cents respectively, inclusive of a $14.7 million charge related to the November 15, 2023 refinancing of the company's debt facilities. So basically, to put that in English for you guys, Thor Industries, which owns Keystone, Jayco, Thor Motor Coach, Tiffin Motorhomes, etc., big, huge umbrella, including Airstream, they are now officially regained the biggest RV manufacturer in the industry tag because Forest River has fallen way behind, and we'll get into that later in the episode. By the way, I'm sorry about the sound quality. My microphone broke today, so I'm using a backup microphone on the podcast, and for the video, I have no microphone. So pardon the sound problems. In essence, guys, what they really did was they refinanced all their debt to lower their payments, lower their nut, basically try to continue to have positive cash flow. The good news about Thor Industries right now, so if you own a Keystone Cougar, Keystone Montana, a Jayco, etc., they're not going out of business anytime soon. Okay? But what this does address is all the, excuse my language, but all the bullshit that has been put out in narrative terms to try to make people think that the RV business was trending upward. First off, big corporations, big, large stock exchange type corporations, Camping World, Lazy Days, etc., they have stockholders and investors they have to answer to. So the best way to serve up bad news is to throw the most complicated article out there and have a lot of corporate double talk. By the way, Walmart does it. Target does it. Nordstrom's does it. Tesla does it. Ford does it. Every corporation puts a spin, a narrative spin on negative news. You know, there's still this thought pattern and this hope within the industry that things are just going to randomly turn around. Well, fuck, guys. If it's going to turn around, write a damn check to the dealers to write down their inventory. I mean, it's pathetic. If you look at the actual cost of the unit, I'll give you an example. I'm not going to name the brand because that's unfair, and I don't have it verified in my hand in writing. It all comes to me from my sources. But there's a brand out there that is offering $3,000 to dealerships to kick somebody off their lot per unit and reorder one of theirs. But guess what? That brand raised their prices to the dealership. That didn't help. You can't simply just raise your prices to compensate for the rebate that you're going to give the dealer to kick somebody else off the lot. This is the game playing that I'm sick of with manufacturers as a dealership. As a dealership, I'm sick of hearing the excuses. We don't have the money. We can't do that. Bullshit. You guys raked in money. Everybody wants to point the finger at the RV dealers and say, well, you guys made all that money for like 2 years. No, we didn't. I'm not saying, now what I'm not saying is there were probably some dealers that raked it in for 2 years. But for the most part, most dealerships didn't have the inventory during COVID to rake in the bucks. We made more profit per deal. We made more money per unit sold. But we didn't sell the volume that we used to. We didn't until 2021. And there was a 7-month period where everybody, was making good money, really good money. And that was right around March of 2021 to about the end of November of 2021. December of 2021, it started really slowing down. Everybody forgets COVID, yes. 2020, the supply lines destroyed the RV business, destroyed the boat business, destroyed the auto industry. Yes, we were selling stuff for more money and making more profit on each unit, but they couldn't get us the units to be able to increase the volume. So the three people that made money in the industry was, number one, the manufacturers, because the manufacturers jacked the prices up, jacked their profit margin up on the dealerships because they could, because for about a 2.5-year period, dealers were, hey, I'm selling stuff left and right. For a 7-month period, you couldn't keep anything in stock even when we were full. Even when your lot was full, you couldn't keep things in stock. So of course, give me. And then the middle of 2022 happened. And we're like, oh shit, the industry just stopped. Because prices were up. Interest rates were up. And guess what the manufacturers did? Just kept building. Just kept building. Just kept building. We don't have the money. We don't have any money. Forest River, Keystone, Jayco, every one of them made record profits. And you're telling me you don't have any money to write a check to every dealership to help offset a lot of the losses that we're taking on the inventory you shipped us that was overpriced? Bullshit. So that's why these kind of articles piss me off. The company revised its full year fiscal 2024 consolidated net sales and diluted earnings by share guidance to a consolidated net sales range of $10 billion to $10.5 billion and diluted earnings per share in the range of $5 to $5.50. Our fiscal second quarter, similar to the prior year period, presented a challenging operating environment as seasonally lower retail demand and cautious dealer sentiment impacted our results. No shit, Bob Martin. No shit. Because you refuse to write a check to get the industry going. And I know you guys are not fans of Camping World. I know a lot of you guys are not fans of Camping World. But I include Camping World. That Camping World should also get a massive check from the manufacturer to offset at least half of the loss. That's all I'm asking. The dealer's half responsible. The manufacturer's half responsible. The manufacturer could have done the responsible thing in April of 2022 and shut down production for 6 months and go, hey guys, we're going to put you on furlough. We got to get this thing back on track. But no, ego will get in the way of that. We're not going to do that. Why would we do that? Because if I do that, everybody else is going to keep building. They couldn't come together and say, look, let's put our minds together. Let's put our heads together, because the companies in the industry is still going to be here long after we're dead. So why don't we do the right thing by the next generation, since we already made hundreds of millions of dollars in our career? At this point, it's not greed, it's ego. If this was 20 years ago, I'd tell you it's corporate greed. Today, it's ego. So I'm going to link this in the description box, this article, just to kind of give you guys, if you guys want to read through it later. So you can copy and paste it. If you're listening to this on one of your platforms, YouTube, you can just click on the link. Real quick, 30 seconds, I want to tell you guys about my merchandise store. If you guys remember, I started one on Saturday night. A lot of you guys have ordered your shirts, your hats, etc. Thank you so much for the support. I'm going to put that link in the description box below. That's the way you can support this podcast to help it grow so it can reach more of the RV community. And maybe one day we'll be big enough as a podcast to have major influence over Stupidville, USA. And you know what I'm talking about. Okay? All right. Moving on. The next thing I really want to talk about, which was in here, was there's an announcement that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has purchased a Keystone Cougar. And it is a fifth wheel. It's a 2024 364 BHL. Okay. Now, why this is important is because, and I know a lot of you have told me, I got an email or a comment today about a 2021 Montana Mountaineer that's having frame failure problems. Okay. I'm not hearing much about Keystone Cougar, Forest River Flagstaff, Rockwood. Basically, a lot of the Keystone product outside of Montana, high country, and alpine, I'm not hearing a lot about some of them. I've had a couple of Montanas. I've had a couple of Keystone Alpines, couple Mountain Montana high countries, a couple of Jayco North Points, a couple of Jayco Talons that are no longer built. I got now 2 guys that told me about older Alliance product and 1 guy that told me about a newer one. But for the most part, this frame flex and frame failure problem is allegedly surrounded mostly by Grand Design, Solitude, and Momentum. So when you get a guy that is a NASCAR legend and he's buying a fifth wheel by Keystone, it tells me that there's a lot of confidence in the fifth wheel market. Now, part of it, and another reason why they're doing this and putting it on rvbusiness.com, is to try to rebuild the confidence that has been lost in the fifth wheel industry. But let's face it, I've been trying to rebuild it. I've been trying to rebuild your confidence. Because I know that the majority of brands and the majority of the industry does not have Armageddon level problems with their frames. And that the 20% of folks that are not Grand Design owners that are reaching out to me, it's sprinkled a lot between a lot of years, a lot of models, a lot of makes. It's not predominant like it allegedly is with Grand Design. And I'm going to say this. in my professional opinion, Grand Design has never been a high quality product. It's a fucking pig with really beautiful lipstick. And if they're not careful, they're going to become a hog. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Okay? So I want to make sure that that's out there, because I think a lot of you that reach out to me tell me you're not going to buy a fifth wheel because of all the issues. Well, if the issues are allegedly, just realistically, let's say 80% of the problems are allegedly with one manufacturer who has a perception, who built a perception of high quality. If they're the major problem in this, look at other brands. Yes, I know they're not as pretty. Yes, I know when you walk into a Flagstaff or a Rockwood, it looks cheap, but it's built like a damn tank. Go walk into Jayco's. Yes, I know Jayco North Point and sometimes the Jayco Pinnacles are not exactly the beautification that Grand Design puts on their fifth wheels. But it's a well put together product. They've been doing it for a long time. Keystone Cougar, great product. Alliance, great product. Are they perfect? No. None of them are perfect. None of them will ever be perfect. And no, the federal government will never step in. And here's my example of that. The example of that is the seatbelt laws. How many millions of cars had to happen to be built and driven in the United States before the Senate and Congress got involved to require a seatbelt law? Look it up. It'll shock you. But if you take into consideration the amount of Armageddon level deaths and injuries that were occurring in the auto industry post World War II and during World War II, it was bad enough for them to step in. But because the percentages are so low, and they do not manufacture millions of these, it will be improbable for you to have the federal government step in. Now, should you stop trying? No. You should keep reporting the stuff. You should keep on top of it. Yes, you should take some time in your day to contact your congressman, contact your representative, contact the NHTSA. I probably botched that. I'm sorry if I botched that. Yes, you should continue to do that. You should continue to file complaints, because I didn't say it was impossible. I'm telling you it's improbable. Lawsuits. If there is going to be lawsuits, I don't know if there is, but if there is going to be lawsuits against Grand Design, and more than likely we'll never get to court. It would be extremely difficult to win a case in court with this issue. The best thing you can do as a customer, if you believe that the allegations against Grand Design are 100% or even majority their problem, and you believe that they are not a reliable manufacturer anymore, remember that they are still in the infant stage. They're not even teenagers yet. Forest River, Keystone, Airstream, all these companies, Jayco, they've been around 40 plus years. They've been doing it. They're middle age. They're almost AARP age. In Winnebago Motorhomes area, not the towables, but the motorhome section, they already have their AARP card. Just because it's pretty doesn't mean you should buy it. Just because there is a perception of quality doesn't mean you should buy it. Speaking of which, I got an interesting question I want to pose to you guys. Okay? Here's the question. Grand Design was started by a few of these guys. In fact, Don Clark, who is their CEO, president, is one of the founders. Okay? These guys signed a non-compete clause, blah, blah, blah. They go open Brinkley. But within 4 years of owning Grand Design, they sold it to Winnebago. My question is if Don Clark was a part of these guys when he originally founded Grand Design, how much stake does he have in the competitor's company behind a firewall? If any. Let me rephrase the question. Is there a subsidiary company or investor group that is connected to Don Clark that funded Brinkley? I don't know the answer to this, but it posed a question because Brinkley is slowly starting to give the perception of quality. It's almost going in the same direction that Grand Design took. So are they simply going to sell the company in 4 years? If that's the case, how much of a stake does Don Clark have in it? I don't know the answer. It's just a question. Because it sure seems weird to me that a company that prided itself on its marketing campaigns is partially, if not has the perception, and is allegedly ignoring the major problem that they're having with their frames. And there's speculation that they really don't care. So if that's the case, what does he know? Is he got a job lined up for him at Brinkley if Grand Design goes out? Is he just waiting for a life raft or a golden parachute out of Grand Design and go work with his buddies at Brinkley? These are all questions I pose to you. You guys tell me what your thoughts are, because it's really suspicious to me. Until next time, remember RV stands for toolkit and sense of humor.